be bold, be heard. Welcome to Unmute Your Mic with your host, Jessica Bell.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unmute Your Mic. My name is Jessica Bell, and I'm your host for today. Today, I have Lamonica Madden with me. She is my first lady at the Freedom Center Church, and I'm so excited for you all to hear just a little bit of her testimony, her story, and just the amazing things that God has done in her life. She's been a complete blessing to me. Lamonica, I thank you so much for just agreeing to be on my platform. If you can just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Of course. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I'm First Lady Lamonica Madden at the Freedom Center, where Jess is what I like to call my frienditant. She's like my right-hand woman, and we've built a beautiful friendship over the course of her being here. So that's why I call her my frienditant. I'm a mother of three, wife. I'm an associate director of content at VMLYNR. I run my own coaching and consulting agency. I just got a lot going on. Just blessed.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on here is because you juggle so many different things. Being a mother, being a first lady, owning your own business, multiple businesses. I know that that is not easy. And so I think that it's super important for other women to see women who can do more than one thing and like see that we don't have to be pigeonholed into just being a mother or just owning a business,
Right.
that you can have it all. So can you talk a little bit about what that is like for you? What is your daily life like juggling all of those things?
Um, it's a lot. And I think recently I've learned that it's okay to just have an off day. Like it's okay, if you don't hit everything on your to-do list or on your goal list today, it's okay. I used to be really hard on myself because, I believe that you can have it all. And I used to be really hard on myself whenever I would fall short of a goal, because I feel like, we have all these societal pressures that as a woman, you have to be able to cook in the kitchen, keep the house clean, rock the room, manage the kids. Everything has to be perfect. And, that's nice on TV, but in real life, that is so unrealistic. And so, when I'm managing businesses and careers and church and ministry departments and marketing departments and children and school stuff, and there's just so much that I just prioritize. And that means I don't get a lot of time to hang out with my friends like I would like. But my favorite thing to do on my off time is sleep because I don't get much of it.
I can imagine. And I listen, because I love sleep. And one thing you always tell me is like, appreciate it now
Yes,
because I'm not going to get it a whole lot of it later.
appreciate it now.
Yeah, so I think that is, like I said, that's super inspirational to me. But another reason why me and LaMonica clicked was we shared our stories about some of the things that we had gone through in our life prior to where God has us now. And
Yeah.
so we had both talked about how we had gone through a divorce. And I think one of the things that inspired me the most is that you seem so well put together. And so sometimes we look at people and we think that they haven't really gone through a lot because they're put together and they're beautiful and they're married and they have kids.
Yeah.
And so if you could just talk a little bit about that part of your story, going through that and where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I had married, and this is going to sound funny, but when I tell you the story, you'll see. I feel like I married Satan himself. And I'm sure everyone feels like their ex-husband was Satan. But I really think mine was Beelzebub, for real, for real. You know, I was pretty young. I've always been an entrepreneur, mover and shaker in the city, in the business scene. You know, I've accomplished a lot, and I love networking. And so I met him at a networking event. At the time, he was the business manager, or he was just the actual manager for, I don't even know the name of the group, but they used to sing that song, "If you wild out, hey, do the stanky leg, do the stanky." That was it. That was his claim to fame. He was taking, like, I managed them. That's my group. That's how we met. We were initially friends, business. And so I don't know how we ended up dating, but it took that turn, and the relationship progressed really, really fast, like faster than what I had ever moved in a relationship, to where before I knew it, we were engaged. And so I always pray this prayer. There's a prayer that I always pray anytime I'm meeting someone and, you know, it's getting serious and, you know, I'm trying to, you know, see what it is. And I always ask God, Lord, show me who they really are. Show me their true intentions towards me and show me their real heart towards me. And I usually wait, you know, because every time I prayed that prayer, God had, like, he does it immediately, and you could be smack dab in the middle of having a good time. You going on dates, you go to nice restaurants all the time, and then you pray this prayer, and the whole relationship just falls apart. So I have to wait until I'm bored now. All right, Lord, go ahead and show me. I've had all my fun. When I prayed this prayer, to say the change was drastic is an understatement. I remember there was so many signs that the Lord was giving me to saying, you know, baby girl, this ain't it. I got somebody else for you. Like, he is not who he says he is. And I had gotten into my mind because other people were telling me this too. And I was at a real stubborn phase in my early 20s where I felt like I wanted to prove everybody wrong. Like, I know what I'm talking about and I know what I'm doing. I'm going to prove you wrong. And I thought that I could even prove God wrong. That was my first mistake. And so on our way, we didn't even have a wedding. Like, we didn't have time to plan a wedding. I had no support, no nothing. So we decided we were just going to go to the courthouse and get married and just get it over and done with. And on the way to the courthouse was the very first fight that we had gotten into. We got into an argument so big as we're driving there that I thought that we were going to wreck or go to blows. It was scary. And we got outside the courthouse, and I feel like the Lord did everything except start speaking to me through a burning bush saying, this ain't it. And I didn't listen. The heart is a very illogical thing. You know, love is a very illogical emotion. I tell people that all the time. There is really no logic in love. If you're just going strictly by love, because the heart just be acting on feelings, on whims. It doesn't think things through. It's not logical. It doesn't present the facts. And so went on in there, got it over with, said our I do's, and immediately I felt doomed. It's like, heck, ain't no turning back now. You know, now comes the work to put it together. And so, girl, he was a monster. So he used to pretend like he was real saved. The person he presented to me was really saved, on fire for God. We used to do Bible studies together. He was real deep into, like, you know, spiritual studies, like I am, and like understanding, you know, the angelic realm, the demonic realm, like just kind of understanding the different layers of like the spiritual realm and things like that. We were used to be able to connect and have real deep intellectual conversations. And that was what attracted me. But after we got married and moved into our apartment, he turned into a monster. I would be playing my gospel music while I'm cleaning up, and he would open up the bedroom door and say, "Shut up, turn that off, I can't think." I was like, Won't say it. Hold up, boy.
Okay, wait, and I have to
Yeah.
interject right here because I think this is important and a lot of women need to hear this. How do we identify those counterfeit men? Because so often in the
They
beginning,
are
they are
perfect.
perfect. They are giving us almost everything we think that we want out of a man.
Yes.
So, what do you know if there's anything you
Yeah.
can think of to just help women say, hold up, like you are almost good enough, but you are not what God has for me?
The way I did it, and I had to learn the hard. I had to learn by going through this marriage. I don't want you. You all don't have to get into a bad marriage to learn. Learn from my mistakes. I had to learn through that process. The enemy, he's not going to send you something that's not going to catch your eye or catch your attention or even be able to captivate your heart. He's not stupid. He's a very skilled adversary. Okay. He's a very skilled opponent. So he's not going to approach this like a rookie. He spent your whole life studying you as much as he could to kind of understand what your likes or dislikes are. The only way that I've ever been able to really tell them apart is by going to God. Lord, show me who they really are. And trust it. When you pray that prayer, trust God, believe God. And like Maya Angelou said, when they show you who they are, believe them. That is the best advice I could give you. I tell all of my friends that any woman that I know that is dating and they're head over heels, I always ask them to pray that prayer. One of my friends, she has when she see this, she gonna know I'm talking about her. One of my one of my friends has avoided being married at least 9 times to 9 different wrong men by praying this prayer. And she's like, dang it, girl, every time I pray that prayer, the relationship ends. I'm almost tired of praying the prayer. I get it. I know that feeling. But it is a very powerful and fast acting prayer. So that is my best response. Ask the Lord, he will show you.
That's good. And okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can keep going with your story, but I just thought that was important because there are so many counterfeit people out here, not even just men, but just in relationships in
Yeah.
general. And I
Yeah.
think we'll save ourselves a whole lot of trouble and a whole lot of pain if we're able to identify that on the front end instead of in the back end when we've already, had children with them, gotten married to them, and that kind of thing. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt your
no, no.
story, but
Absolutely.
you can keep
Absolutely.
going.
I would see. So from there, things just got progressively worse. He went from, getting into these, you know, outrageous yelling fits to then trying to intimidate me by punching holes in the wall. And so I've always been fearful of winding up in an abusive relationship. And so my natural instinct, when he would become violent, so glad I grew up, was to get even more violent than him. So I would react in a bigger way than he would because I was reacting out of fear. And so one time we were living in Dallas, Texas, and my daughter, she was maybe 2 or 3 years old. And we were all up there, and I had just gotten out of the hospital because I was pregnant unknowingly and almost died because I had an ectopic pregnancy, and the baby, which was in the tube, almost ruptured the tube, which would have caused me to bleed to death internally. So luckily, like I felt those cramps early enough to, call the ambulance to get rushed to the hospital. So after surgery, I was supposed to be home on bed rest. And he is on a computer, like checking stuff, like real crazy. I'm like, what's going on? You okay? And he says to me, he said, hey, has Ned sent you that money for your daughter yet? I was like, why? With a straight face, he looked at me and said, because I need that money to pay my child support. what? So you want me to take the money that my daughter's father is sending to take care of her to give to you to take care of your kids? That's not happening. And he got into this real big, outrageous fit. Like he was violent, and he knew that I was down, I was injured, and he was ready to attack me. And so we got into an altercation, and I was smart enough to keep a paper trail on him. So I had some friends at the time. I had a friend who was a DA, had a friend who was a federal warden of the Leavenworth Penitentiary. He was actually like my golf buddy. I had like some friends that were like sheriffs and detectives, and so they always tell me like, okay, Lamonica, since we can't talk you out of this, paper trail. Anytime he does anything erratic, go to the police station, file a police report, like paper trail him. So that way, if anything ever happens, you have a long paper trail to prove his violent history with you so that you'll be protected. And luckily I had that in place because it came to a situation where that paper trail came in handy. The Lord saw fit, and I definitely went over a lot of details because it was a long, and we were only married from start to finish 8 months, but it felt like 8 years. It was a long 8 months, and we were able to get an annulment because of a technicality in the paperwork. So we were able to get out of that thing scot-free as if it had never even happened. And I tell as many women as I can about that experience to help them avoid those type of men.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you are so open and willing to share that, because often we can get embarrassed and not want to share the things that we have gone through, because we want to act like everything is okay, and we don't want to actually have to sit back and say, "Hey, I have made a decision that was not the right
Yeah.
decision." Um, and so moving forward from that, once you removed yourself from that, what was the next step? Like, what started happening in your life after that?
Whew, girl, I was free. I was free. I was single. I was happy to be single. Sorry. My daughter and I moved back to Kansas City from Dallas, and we just began to rebuild again. Um, so sorry, I started another business with the school district developing a custom curriculum, non-traditional curriculum for their middle school and high school students. Parlayed that into a very lucrative career for a moment, and then not long after I met my husband.
And so, one thing I wanted to ask you about too, because I think it's really important, is that when you um, divorce somebody or you get out of a traumatic situation, it's important that you have that time to heal and be able to put yourself back together. And
Yeah.
so, what did the healing process look like for you?
The healing process for me was just me taking time to love on myself, to hear God and hear the things that the Lord was speaking to me about who I was, making sure that I didn't fall into any type of depressions or low self-esteem. Um, surrounded myself with positive people, good friends, and I began to enjoy life. I enjoyed my singleness. And it wasn't even necessarily about, dating or anything, because I didn't do a lot of that. But I enjoyed, having that time with my daughter. I enjoyed the fact that we made it out of it unharmed, without ever being touched or abused, physically, as much as he may have tried. Like the Lord was always protecting the both of us. And so I was able to enjoy. I was actually more in a position of gratitude than anything else. Like, Lord, thank you. Even though I vehemently disobeyed you, you still showed mercy and grace, and you still protected me anyhow, and still brought me out of that situation. So I was even more on fire after the divorce before I got married.
And I love how God does that. How even when the enemy tries to use stuff or try to shame us or silence us or guilt us,
Mm-hmm.
God will still use it, and he'll use it to where we can still glorify him, where we can still use it as our testimony to help other women not have to go through some of the things that we have went through. And so with that, like you said, you're healing, you were building your businesses, right? And so then
Yeah.
if you could just share a little bit of your story of how you met your husband now, because I always think it's beautiful to hear the stories come full circle. So if you could just share a little bit about that.
I met my husband, my baby father, the love of my life. Believe it or not, I met him on Facebook. So this was during a time when I was actually enjoying my singleness and just having fun. And he's an artist. He has his degree in fine arts, and he's a very talented and skillful artist. And he had posted this painting that was so beautiful. It was like this emerald green background, and he had painted like this dark skinned, strong black woman, no hair, and she was posing with such strength, and it caught my eye. And I had reached out to him because I wanted to inquire about purchasing the painting. Um, I never even saw him before. I didn't even know that we were friends on Facebook. I don't even know when or how we got connected. Um, so I began to reach out to him about the painting. And then we had just began to conversate back and forth, just through the painting, just talk about other artwork he has. And so now, since we're, conversing, I went and said, let me look through these pictures, see what he looked like real quick. I was like, oh, okay, he cute or whatever. I was looking at I saw that he went to Lincoln University, and he was an alpha, he was an art major. And so my favorite cousin, who just got engaged, by the way, so happy for him, but we were raised like sister and brother in the same house, and we are so close. Like, I look up to him so much. Growing up, he was my everything. And my cousin also went to Lincoln and graduated with a fine arts degree. And he also was an alpha. And they both went to the same high school, and they had the same major in high school. So I asked him, so now we're talking and we're chatting. I said, hey, do you know someone named, and I gave him my cousin's name, and he said, LOL, why? How you know him? I was like, that's my big cousin / brother. He said, yeah, that's my son. I said, what do you mean that's your son? Now, like, what do you mean that's your son? I know everybody. Y'all ain't never seen you before. He said, no, that's my pledge son. I'm the one that brought him into Alpha Phi Alpha, and they're the same line number in the same position. So they're both quases. So I called my cousin up and I was like, hey, cuz, you know somebody named Chris Madden? He said, oh, why, Monica? I was like, I'm just asking. I was like, I just met him, and I told him the story. And this is one thing my cousin never does. He is very overprotective anytime any of his friends want to date me or talk to me. And so for the first time, he was like, you know what? He's a good dude. He's a real good dude. And if you want to date him, that's cool. I guess it ain't nobody else in Kansas City for you to date. You got to date my pledge pops, but I guess that's okay. And he had never done that before. So that for me was like the first, maybe I'll take this a little bit more seriously. So that's how we met. We actually met on Facebook.
And I love that. I think it's so funny because everything has to happen in God's
Yeah,
timing. And so, even in the most unlikely situations, I mean, you and Pastor's timeline had to match
yeah,
perfectly because had you guys met each other earlier or later, you would have been at
yeah.
different places of your life. And I think that is so beautiful. So, if you could just wrapping up, if you could just encourage some of the ladies who are listening, who maybe are in the process of a divorce or just a painful relationship in general, and they are trying to gain the strength to get out of it, but also if you can encourage them of what the other side looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that they are not the person that you are with is not the end all be all. If they aren't treating you the way that God treats you, the way that Jesus treats the church, his bride, they're not worth it. It's always someone better. And it is okay to be single for a period. It does get better. There are people that there is someone out there that meets every description, everything that you have ever asked God for. There is someone out there that is the embodiment of that. You just have to trust God, trust his timing, trust just trust God. That's the best advice that I could give. Is just trust God. Pray that prayer. Lord, show me who he is. Show me his true intentions towards me. Show me his true heart towards me. And guard my heart, protect my heart to be able to be able to withstand the change, because sometimes they could change in a way that breaks your heart. They can get ugly, they could get verbally abusive, or mentally or emotionally abusive. You need God to guard your heart so that it doesn't break you, and to give you the strength that you need to walk away and walk away confidently without turning back. But it does get better, and there is someone out there that is the embodiment of everything that you've ever asked God for.
And I love that. I love that you said it does get better. I think that is such an important part and an important piece for us to hold on to in any scenario that we are in. Is that the situation that we are in currently is not the end of it,
Yeah,
that it's going to get better and that God is going to keep the promises that he has for us. And sometimes
absolutely.
we do just have to get derailed for a second, or we just get we start to take our own path, and then we realize that God's journey and what he has for us is so much better. I want to
So,
thank you so much for sharing just a part of your story. I know that there are we could have gone a million different ways, and I know that this was just a part, but I really felt on my heart that there are some women that need to be encouraged and know that what they've been through is not the end. So I just want to thank you again. I
absolutely.
appreciate
Thank
you. I
you
love
for
you.
having me.
Of course, I love you, and I will see
I love
you
you too.
soon.
All
All
right.
right.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Unmute Your Mic with Lamonica Madden. I'm so happy that you guys all got to hear just a part of her story of how there is life after heartbreak, and it does get better. Please make sure to share this video on Facebook, YouTube. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel under Unmute Your Mic, and just continue to share. Thank you for all the love and support, and I will see you all next week on Unmute Your Mic.
Thank you for tuning in to Unmute Your Mic. Be sure to tune in next time when Jessica takes her mic off mute as she continues her journey to find stories that inspire and uplift our communities.